Hola, hola, ¿cómo estás? How are you today? Welcome to today's Tarot Tuesday. I already pulled the cards. For those who have been following, we've been doing these for the last couple weeks now. So, just to give you a little insight before I jumped onto today's reading, I asked for what's the theme? What's the theme of today's reading that's going to take us through the week? And what I got was conscious choice. And what I'm seeing in the cards today definitely reflects a conscious choice that is before us. It has the potential to lead to transformation. And actually, I'm wearing the Rider-Waite. You can check it out. This is the Ace of Cups card from the Rider-Waite deck on my t-shirt. Kind of a fitting card, a card of emotional renewal, starting from the beginning, a clean slate, so to speak. There's a conscious choice in front of us right now, this week, and it looks like it's kind of going to be in our face. So let's dive into the reading. The first card that I pulled here is the energy that brought us here. And wouldn't you know it, the card that brought us here, the energy that brought us here, is the Justice card. Now, the way I read the Justice card in the Kim Krans deck, it is a number 8. Anytime we deal with 8s in numerology, I want to look at power and authority. And in this case, when I look at Justice in this deck to me speaks of having a choice before us. So I laughed that this is the card that got pulled at the top, since conscious choice was the theme. This is about a karmic choice before us. If you think about a judge in the justice system and the power that they hold in their hands when they make a ruling, it's going to be black or white. It's going to come down to a certain decision, and we must be at peace with that decision, whichever way that it goes, right? So when I see the Justice card, it's us weighing a choice that has karmic consequence, I will say. And what I mean by that is just that it's more of a weighty decision. It has more karmic energetic implications than, say, oh, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? Or, oh, should I go see my friend's baby this weekend, or something like that. It's going to be something bigger. This is going to be decisions around work and relationships, location, home, finance stuff. This is stuff that's just going to have a bigger implication on us energetically, and it's heavier on our growth, so to speak. So that's what's bringing us here. So if you don't know what this is, if there's not big choices percolating before you, definitely get into meditation, reflect, and ask, what is it that's being called to my attention? Because it's time to make decisions. The energy that's strong with you, that's the second card that I pull. The energy that is strong with us here as a collective is the Empress card. The Empress card is a 3. This is the card, which means we're talking about creation, the essence of creation. But the Empress specifically is really the divine mother. This is the divine feminine. This is the energy that is strong with us is the ability to nourish, to nurture, to lead with compassion, to lead with our hearts, and to create from that space. So when I look at these two cards together right off the bat, we have a decision to make. We have a weighty decision to make, and how it impacts our lives, the ripple effects, the consequences of this choice are gonna be greater than, like I said, what we're gonna have for dinner, or whether or not we set our alarm clock for the right time. And the energy that's strong with us, that wants to guide us as we move into that decision, is gonna be, well, what does our heart say? Where do we lead with our heart? What is the most compassionate, gentle, heart-centered choice or place to come from? We really want to lean into that energy. I feel like that's a great rule of thumb anyways, but especially for this week, we're being asked to tap into that divine feminine aspect of ourselves. And it's like, what do we want to create? And what do we want to create from a place of love and gentleness and sensitivity, from a place that wants to nurture and nourish our creation from the depths of our soul? That's the energy that's strong with us. So if the fact that this is popping up when you get into meditation, you don't know what the choice is yet, and you're going to have ask for that to come up. Also ask, well, how? Ask, what is the most loving choice? Ask, what's the most loving choice? What's the most loving choice for my highest good and for the highest good of all involved? What's the most loving choice? That is the energy that is strong right now. Unconscious influences is the third card that I pull. So these are things that are kind of underneath the surface. Other influences that might be weighing in, things that we're not aware of because they're unconscious or subconscious. And you pulled the Four of Cups, and the Four of Cups is a card that talks about a little bit like taking certain things for granted emotionally, maybe not fully acknowledging all that you have, right? So in this case, we have the little rats on top of the 4 cups. So there's an emotional foundation here that's rich. You know, 4s, when we talk about 4s in numerology, those are foundations. That's the number of reality. And the rat is on top of it, but the rat's in darkness. All right, there's a moon above it, shining some light down, some insight, but it hasn't quite reached the rat yet. The rat's taking his or her position for granted a little bit. So what I would say is try not to focus on the things that you don't have. Try not to focus on the things that are not working out for you. Try not to focus on the things that are not emotionally satisfying, because the energy that is strong with you is coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of abundance, of nourishment, compassion, nurturing. So the unconscious influences, things that might be holding us back or making our decision maybe a little bit more challenging for us in these times, is taking things for granted, you know, not being fully appreciative, thankful, or grateful for those things that we do have that are present for us. We're looking beyond that, you know. We're not opening our eyes to 4 full cups that we have underneath us. So that's the advice I would give here, is be aware of whatever this decision is that's weighing on you. We're going to ask about making the loving choice, but also be aware of those little negative thoughts or our attachment to maybe naysaying, and how that might be getting in the way of us recognizing this opportunity that we have in front of us to make a really loving and empowered choice, as signified by the Justice card. As we move into the next week, moving into the future, you pulled another 8 card. So again, we're talking about authority, agency, power, and it's the 8 of Wands. And the 8 of Wands is kind of a wild card because it's about a change of directions. It's about sometimes information that comes in. You might get a phone call, you might get an email, you might get a flyer, you might see a commercial, someone might pitch you something, or you just might have this little stroke of insight, an inspiration that comes through, like spiritually, maybe metaphysically in your meditation, and this inspires you to change directions. When we talk about wands, we're talking about passion and creativity and spirit. So I think that with this reading coming up at the top of the week here, what I want to say, especially because we're coming into this, the theme was conscious choice, is really looking at the choices before us that we're faced with, coming from a loving place, assuming the perspective of loving awareness, because that makes us more conscious, right? Because the unconscious stuff wants to take things for granted. It's a little bit of a naysayer, maybe a little bit unfulfilled, unsatisfied, and it's focusing on those things, completely neglecting the fact that there are 4 full, fulfilling, vibrant cups underneath us. So what do we do when we make the conscious choice? Well, we don't fall into the unconscious. We don't fall into taking things for granted or feeling unfulfilled, even though we have a bunch of cups filled underneath us. We move into that space of, well, we trust our heart, we trust the loving choice. That's a decision we make instead of being driven by unconscious influences. That allows us to be open to possibly changing direction, maybe taking new steps, making a new choice. That is summed up in a few words, a change of direction. So the choices you're weighing here at the beginning of the week, we might be feeling one way or the other. And I think if we allow ourselves to undergo this process of reflection, going deep, getting in touch with the loving choice, the loving energy that is at our essence, that is in our core, rather than taking things for granted or naysaying things, I feel like that by the end of the week, we might change our course. We make a different choice. And where does that choice lead? I always love to ask the question, what's the big lesson? What are we working on? And we got the Death card. And the Death card is about transformation. This is also, it's funny, this is a 13 major arcana card. 13 in numerology actually reduces down to a 4. So this is going to be fundamental stuff, fundamental foundations. Our identity, things that we're attached to, fundamental parts of reality are going to shift. As you can see, it's a bird that has been stripped of all its its feathers and its flesh. It's stripped down to the bone. And that's what the Death card represents. It's a transformation. It's a shedding of the old so that new energy can come in, that rebirth can come in. So really what this conscious choice that we're faced with this week, or the conscious choices that we're faced with this week, are leading us to is going to be a transformation. We're going to make a new decision about our relationship to the things that are in front of us, and And we have an opportunity to make the loving choice and step into a new vision, a new path, a new version of ourselves by becoming aware of, one, the loving choices that are there with us, the ways that we are loved and supported, the things that we have, by not falling prey or victim to naysaying or taking things for granted. Because remember, the Four of Cups here, we have cups. There's an emotional stability and a foundation. There are things there to support us from an emotional, creative sense. And we allow these things to make a new choice, to change directions, to make a choice that we might not have made in the past. So this might be making a new choice about how to address the stress that you're feeling at work with your boss. So instead of taking on more projects, this time we speak up and we say, hey, actually, I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now. That's just where I'm at. Or maybe it's a relationship and there's been some distance or something like that. And it's about, instead of falling prey or victim of, oh my gosh, well, what is going on? Why is my life exploding? Is saying, you know what? Take a big deep breath. Things always happen for a reason. And instead of freaking out, I'm going to step into this conversation lovingly, where I'm going to put my heart on the line, and I'm just going to expose myself and say, hey, this is what's coming up for me. Can we have a conversation about it? It could be, instead of diving into our work full bore, it could be saying, you know what, I need to take a little break. I need meditation. I need meditation time. Or maybe this is carving out new boundaries for yourself, right? It's a new choice that is the loving choice that is in front of you right now. So I know a lot of people are eager to be back in the world and doing things and to be doing again. And I feel like a lot of what's happening right now is we're kind of like getting back into life, but then we're hitting this old stuff, old dynamics at work, in relationships, parents, siblings, friends, all that stuff. Old stuff is coming up. We weeks ago, we were working with the Devil card and that energy. And so here we are, we're still working through it. We're at the tail end of it though, because there's a big transformation upon us. If we're stepping into the energy that's present with us, if we're aware of it, if we're making conscious choices, we're not falling into old patterns. We're not falling into old behaviors or ways of reacting to things. We're actually responding from a loving place. That's what it means to make conscious choices. So that feels pretty good. All right, folks, there's your Tarot Tuesday for the week. A little 13-minute download about making conscious choices. Let me know how this resonates for you. What's coming up for you? What are you working on? What's the new loving choice? If you're willing to share, please share with us below in the comments. What's the loving choice you're going to make for yourself this week? I would love to hear it. Thanks so much for being here. Good luck, and we'll see you next week. Adios.